Hello guys, my name is Christian from Temple Graphics, and today we're going to be talking about how you can establish your own company's brand identity. So stay tuned and find out. So, what is brand identity? Brand identity is how your company is perceived. It is how they feel about it. It is what comes to mind when they see your logo. It is how they basically share it to other people, what they say about it. So there's a misconception about what a brand identity or what a brand actually is. They may say that your brand is just your logo. Your brand may be just what you put out there, but no. Your brand is a whole entire chain of things that connect together and will make sense if it's used correctly. So let's start off by what are some ways that you can show your brand. So first off, we have the usual stationery, which is business cards, posters, any flyers that you may put out. Then you have the digital aspect of what your company is, which is mainly nowadays through social media. It's about how your profile looks. It's about the tone of writing that you use in your post. It also comes down to the theme that you portray, the colors that you use, and simply the type of audience that you're trying to attract. And then lastly, there's the bigger aspect of it, which is the video production of it, the advertisement that you have, the tone, any catchphrase that you might add to your company. So at the end of the day, all of this connects, and it is very, very difficult to make it connect together and know exactly how it is that people are going to feel about what you're doing. So there is a big misconception and a big mistake people make when starting up their own businesses, which is there's so many branding tools that exist right now in our app stores, in the Apple Store or in the Google Play Store, that you might think like, oh, the branding aspect of creating a company is probably the easiest part, when in reality it is completely different. You might find it easier to create a budget, you might find it easier to create a business plan, but when it comes to the branding, it is very, very crucial and essential for your business. And here's why. So let's say that you're starting out a business and you want to talk about maybe health, being healthy, a healthy lifestyle, or healthy eating, healthy foods, etc. So if you're trying to motivate somebody to buy your product or to read your health style book, you want to make sure that you use the same tone throughout every single thing that you do. Meaning that commercials that you say should portray in a way something related to health. For me, when you think about something healthy, usually the color green comes to mind. So you're gonna want to incorporate the color green into everything that you're putting out there. Now, you gotta be careful what type of green you use, because people, age groups, demographics react differently to greens. For example, if I was to put a dark green, you would associate it with money. But if I was to put a light green, you would associate a little bit more about something appealing, something that looks, a little bit good. Vegetables come to mind. And then if you want to make people think of a healthy lifestyle, I would go with a color that is vibrant, something that makes you just want to wake up, start your morning very powerful and get right to work, go out jogging, go out, do some lifting, etc. So all of these things you have to think about when you are creating your brand. And that's when it becomes very difficult, because as a business owner, especially if you have already launched your business, you won't have the time to invest into your brand identity, which is why brand identity designers exist. And just to give a little bit background of what we do as brand identity designers, is that we take our time doing some research about how we can help your brand. How is it that you are trying to reach out? What are some strategies that you can implement to better your marketing strategies, to better your growth? And also, we define exactly who it is that you're trying to reach. And that is very, very important when trying to grow your business and when trying to establish an identity. For example, if you want to attract the attention of youth, of teenagers to buy your product, maybe it's a healthy drink, you're gonna want to use colors that attract the eyes of a young person. If you're trying to get the attention of somebody who is used to being in a healthy lifestyle, you're gonna want to reach out to them through colors, through ways, and through appearances that they are used to already because they've had experience already in the subject. So in psychology, you're already accustomed to certain things. You have that cognitive idea on how things work. For example, we may all know already, if you're going into a video platform such as YouTube, you already know that there has to be a search bar at the top. No matter what it is, what website you're going to, if it has videos, you want to be able to have a search bar because if not, then you feel lost and you lose interest. If you're navigating through an information website, then you're gonna want to have to see the little the tabs on top. You want to see each page section divided: home, about me, contact us, portfolios, etc. So you're gonna want to see all of this because you're already accustomed to it. So if you're trying to portray something to somebody, to your demographic that they're not accustomed to, then you're gonna have a really really hard time reaching out to them. So as a brand identity designer, we take time, we invest time into looking deep into those subjects. And after that, it can take maybe about 8 hours, a usual workday, or it can even take months. Let me give you guys an example real quick. So back in 1994, the company Federal Express were trying to change the way that people perceive their company because they felt that it didn't have as much of attention and people didn't really know all the services that they offered. So they contacted a global graphic design team named Landor, and then they invested their time surveying and they try to find out what is it about the brand that is not working. So later on, they found out, after an extensive research of 9 months, they discovered that the word federal was associated with something, something related to the government, something related to money handling, etc. And it's something that people did not want to involve themselves with. The moment you hear federal, you're like, oh no, it's the government. Someone's coming after me, right? So when you hear the word federal, they were like, that's wrong. And then the other word, express, isn't word that at that time it was used so much already. Over 900 different companies had the express in it. So you're trying to advertise yourself, advertise your brand, number one, with a term that people associate negatively. And number two, you're trying to associate, the word express because, you feel that you're going to reach more people that way. But instead, you just get lost among the pile. Later on, they had different ideas, over 300 designs, which they ended up with looking at the logo that we know now, such as FedEx. So very, very big change. It even takes some serious consideration on behalf of the company owners to completely change how your company is viewed. But due to that, their services grew exponentially and revolutionized the way that business was being handled and that whole market as a whole was being seen. So just like that, we can see some key factors in here on how your brand can improve. Number one is, you have to find out how people associate your brand. What do they associate it with? And also, if you're trying to do something that has already been done millions of ways, and that is the difficult part about brand identity design, which is trying to stand out amongst a large crowd. Thinking back to the past, a couple, maybe 50 years ago, advertising was a bit hard because you didn't have as many ways to do so. You didn't have many ways to reach out other than maybe newspaper, word of mouth, or maybe any radio broadcast that you would purchase. But other than that, it was a little bit hard to get your name known out there. Nowadays, we're in an age of digital media where so many communication methods are in play here that you might think, it's easy. This is gonna be very great. I just create my account, I'm gonna launch it, and done. But then you realize that there's so many different people trying to do the same thing that you're doing that we're all screaming at each other, trying to catch the person's attention, which is why it becomes difficult or even harder in present day than in the past. So you have to think very carefully on how you do it and how it is that you're going to interact with the people. So, how do you create your brand identity? Well, you do research. You try to find out what it is that people feel or what it is that appeals to the people when they think of a certain product, then you're going to have to rethink completely on how your logo, website, colors, fonts, etc., how they impact and how they look to make your brand connect all together. And then lastly, you're gonna have to put everything together and just put it out there by creating marketing strategies to reach them out. If you're trying to reach out homeowners, the best way to do it, is reaching out and going to a neighborhood, offering, getting permits so you can reach out to them, put, a little flyer there. If you're trying to reach services, you're selling a product through one of the websites online, then you're gonna want to put your advertisements online or even on TV, on newspapers, etc. So it all comes down on creating the strategies. And then lastly, the last step that you're gonna have to do is think about how you can adapt with the times. Meaning that if it's Christmas time, how are you going to change how your company is viewed? What tone of voice are you going to change? If it's Easter, what type of changes are you going to do? What color palettes are you going to use, etc. So you have to think all about this. And to the untrained eye, it may be very difficult. You might think, using the apps that we have now available, you think like, oh, this looks good, this looks professional, which is why it becomes really, really hard on who you hire and how you do it. Because nowadays it is not about how your brand looks, it's not about how your logo looks, because now it is expected for logos to look professional. So it comes down to how it is that you're going to appeal, what your company stands for, what is your company's main goal, and how will it affect and how will it be different from everyone else. So hopefully you guys learned a little bit something. I know I went off a little bit on a little bit of history, a little bit of explanation, a little bit of rant. So if you have any questions, make sure to write them down in the comments down below. Remember, this is a new channel, so drop a like and you're subscribing. You subscribing is going to be very, very helpful. So I'll be putting out more content in the future explaining about how brand identity designs relates to your company and how you can implement it. And if you're a starter in brand designing as well, stay tuned because I'll be putting out more information for you guys as well. So my name is Christian from Uptempo Graphics, and it's been a pleasure speaking to you guys. Hopefully you guys made it to the end of the video. So I hope that it becomes very useful and that you may apply it in your own businesses. So thank you very much and see you next time.